Hi, it's Deb from Project Life, Deb's Way again. I'm doing a flashback layout using an old line of papers from Craft called Rose Avenue. I've done a full layout side by side using the Projectlife plastic sleeve system, and I will take you through each card from start to finish so you can complete a full layout for your album. I am testing a different way of doing my cards, which I will explain once I point the camera down so I can actually show you what I've done to just make it easier if you can't get the same papers as what I'm using, so you can use your stash. So please don't forget to leave me a comment if you like this way or you prefer me to go back to my old way, because I won't know unless I get some comments. So please do leave a comment, and then I sort of know where to go from here. So with that, let's get on with our cards. Here's a look at the finished layout that I will be doing for this process video. It's I'm doing like a flashback because it is from very old Craft papers, and I'm just trying to bash some of my stash as well to actually get some of my paper lines moving through. And I particularly liked this collection because it was a very soft pastel tonings which went with the photographs that I wanted to use. So the collection that I have actually used is Craft, and it's Rose Avenue. Now, because I'm doing this every so often, I'll be doing this. Some of these papers you can't buy anymore. So what I have done is I will be always doing now a mug map of the papers that I have actually used in the collection. So that you can just download it as a JPEG, print it off, then you can actually choose papers and etc. that are very, very similar tonings to what I've got, so that your layout will actually work very much. And I've put numbers down so that you can actually stick your pieces of paper in the slots, so you know what papers to use if they're different to what I'm using. The other things that I've added to this is just a few doilies, a few of my little die cut offcuts, and I went into my ephemera things with receipts and everything, and I've just hooked out a whole pile of ephemera like that. You could use tickets or anything like that with this layout. And also the other thing I'm going to try to do before I do each card, I will actually give you a Photoshop of the cutting dimensions of each card, so you know which number paper I've used and what the dimensions are that I've cut, so that if you are following the process video, you have got all the directions for each card as I'm going through the process. So here's the little paper I will be flashing up before I do each card, and as you can tell, I've got the cutting dimensions just here, and also the paper I have used, which corresponds to my little mug map. And then I've done exactly the same with all the papers and also the actual mats that I have used, and I've also got the ephemera I've got to cut as well. So I hope this little way of doing your cards will help you, and we'll see how we go. Please do leave a comment if you like this way of doing things, or if you would prefer me to go back how I used to do it, because I'm only trying to help you, and I do go by what your comments and things are to how I do my videos for you. So let's get on with making our cards. So here are the sheets all cut to the sizes of the preview that I gave you just before. I've got my 2 inks here, which I'm going to ink all of these in the green. The pink I will be using on the flowers, and to do that, these are just a die cut that I brought quite a while ago. So all we need to do here, I'll just put them on a bit of coloured here so you can actually physically see them, not on the white. All I've done is I've just quickly inked any little die that has sort of little baubles or feathers. Feathery tops would work, and then you can colour the tops to whatever colour you want to do for your layout. It's we'll just let that dry because this is quite a moist ink. So I'll just go ahead and I'll quickly ink the edges of this cardstock. So I'm just going to go around the edges in the green, because there's quite a bit of pink with this. Like so, and there we have that edged. And this flower actually came from the cut apart sheet, so I'm just going to quickly do over any bits that might have a bit of white on. So now to construct this card, we have our 6x4 card, and then we have our second card, which has been cut so that we have that just that tiny little border there. So now all you have to do is just pop this one down with the border all the way round. I'm trying a different system with now. Now these pieces of ephemera I've using has come out of my stash. I have a box with all the odd bits that I haven't used from kits, and I keep them all in here in their different sizes. Things like, you know, receipts and all sorts of things. But the other thing is too, you can go like this one onto free sites and get PNG files and actually run your own off. Also too, you can go to places like Porch Prints and etc. that do tickets and things like this. They do PDF files which you can actually run them off, and you can make them as big and small as you want so that you can actually cut them out yourself. So it does actually, for $3 or $4 for the files, they're yours forever and you can print them off. I normally find I use a matte photo paper with a high quality setting, and then you will get the good quality that you have here. These were run off the computer. So what I have done here with this one, I want to cut this in half because I want to use it to overlap with. So what we have to do now is this piece goes over on towards the left hand side with a matching border. So we'll just take the tape off, and just remember you don't need a lot of tape for these because they do live in plastic folders, so they don't get a lot of wear and tear. So don't press this piece down too hard, because now what we need to do is to lay the first cut up the top, But for your digital files and things, I've found that Etsy is a fantastic way. That there, when you have a look, you can't actually see it too much. So I think what I will do is I've got this stamp. I'm just going to put I think the stamp was one of Tim Holtz's stamps, and I've used it so much. So we're just going to put that. That looks better because you can actually physically see the ticket. So we're just going to lay that down, then press this down. Now we've got the base of our card. We are going to actually lay it all together. So this one is going over the top, sort of into the middle of the card. We are going to have the flower down the bottom, over the top. So the first thing that we need to do is pop this. So I'm just laying it just over this card to actually get a layering effect like that. Then this flower is going to go down here, down in the bottom corner. And it just means that you will see from the finished item, I put my title in here. So I'm going to cut the ends off of these flowers because they're a bit too long. Put a bit of glue. And then we are going to just pop the big one at the top and just overlap it a bit over here. And then we'll get the next one. I've used this die for so much, and I think it actually is still available. I couldn't tell you the name of it now. And then this is another die that I bought with, it's just like a daisy. And I've used this one quite a bit. And I really shouldn't have stuck that flower down, but that's all right. I'll just pull it off and reposition this. And pop that down. So then all you need to do now is just add your title in here. And there's our first card finished. This is card number 2, which is on the left hand side up the top. Now I do have a thing to add with this. I decided to add a little bit of the green. It can be the spot or the wood grain, and this needs just a tiny little border. So what I'm going to do for this is I'm just going to stick this card down like so. I'm going to get my scissors and I'm just going to cut a tiny little border all the way around. It's just that this white photo mat just sunk into the layout and it needed something to make it pop. So we're just going to do a very quick mat. So what we have to do now is, this is your 6x4 base card, and you just need to have a look at the cutting diameter, because it is 5 3/4 by 3 3/4, and I've edged it in the green. Now that is just going to go onto the card to give us that tiny little border. Now with this, I want this card just up in the top. So what I'm going to do is in this top hand corner, just put a tiny bit of tape on, put your tape down and take the corner tape off. And I want that just about 1/4 inch up. And then that will go here. Like so, with just a little bit of a border there, and just bring it in slightly so you have roughly about 1/2 inch from where the green mat is to the edge here. Then we are going to put this piece up into the top hand corner. So just to stick the first piece of tape and leave the bottom tape on so it doesn't stick. And then we're going to slide that in over the top. As you can see, I've left that piece there. We're going to slide that in over the top. Place that down into the corner with just a border. So just this piece and this piece here. Now slide that photo mat onto that card. And then attach, so that you've just got a little bit of layering going on here. And then this piece, so your pale greens are going to sit above the others. We're just going to have that poking out. So we can take our tape off and layer it underneath that card, so that you've just got that little bit of a border and you've got this layering going on. Now with this card now, you can get up underneath and just pull that tape off. And attach it down. Now on this side, just work the doors until it looks right. Okay. So the doors were from paper 5. So just sort of have that sticking out a bit, like so. Now we're going to have the little flower over here, but I did want one of these tickets. Now, I really don't like, I'm going to do something I don't normally do. I'm going to change that ticket because if I turn it round, the writing is upside down. And that really isn't a very good look. So I think what I might do is I might substitute that for this ticket here. It's a little bit smaller, but that's fine. So we'll glue that down. Now this one here, we need some foam tape. So we'll just cut a bit of foam tape and layer that. So now that's all ready to go down. So we'll just lay our little rows above, making sure that we can put our photograph underneath that rose. Now this isn't stuck down because we've got some tape there, so just take your tape away and get that all stuck down. And there we have a very layered card with all bits of scraps of paper to make our card. Just in addition to this card, I am going to unstick this because I decided, because I've used doilies on the other side of the layout, there has to be a doily on this left hand side. So I'm just very gently prising the photo mat off. I am just going to put that doily to one side. Sorry about that. There we have that. So now I'm just going to put some extra tape on the back of the photo mat. And I'm going to bring that photo mat just slightly over and stick that down so that you've got your doily in there, and as you can tell, it does actually look much better. Now, this is card 3, and as you know, we have got our 6x4 base card. Then we have cut from number 5, the next sheet, which is 5 3/4 by 3 3/4. So now we just need to tape that one down, and I've inked that in the green. So we'll pop that onto our craft base. After the last card, it's quite a relief to have an easy layering card. Now this piece here was from paper 4. And it is about 5 1/2. So we are going to layer that with this piece here because it looks nicer on the top. So we have another little border, and I've edged that in the green again. Now we have our photo mat, which is a 3 by 4, and we have the paper cut from paper 5, and it is just slightly bigger than the actual photo mat. So now we need to attach this to the double photo mat. Once again, it was just to make the white photo mat, because if you put that down onto this piece of paper, you will see it just goes into the paper. So by putting a pink photo mat down, it will just make that photograph pop out of the page, because all of these layouts, it's the photographs that are really important, including your journaling. So you just need to make sure that everything that you do doesn't overrun your photographs. So now this is going on there with just that little bit of a 1/4 inch border all the way around. Now I've stuck the tops because that way I can tuck underneath. So I'm not going to lay this down as yet. I'm just going to leave that poked up. Now I've edged my little die cut there, and I want that just poking out towards the top of the card. So I'm just going to stick that down with some glue. Now I've got this one came from one of the 3 by 4 sheets, but if you've got this one here, you could take one of these small flowers from here. I'd already used some of these flowers on my sticker sheet because this is a very old kit, but this one actually came from this one here. So now we are going to just tuck this one underneath and position it so the buds are up the top, and then we are going to cut this flower off here. So I just want a little bit of a flower underneath like that. So we'll just stick that one down with a bit of glue and rest him underneath like so, and then we are going to layer our rose underneath like that. There we have our next card, very, very quickly done. And I'm just going to put that to one side because I might use that for something else. So there we have another card finished. Now this is our fourth card. So we've got our 6x4 base card. And then we have our next piece, which is the 3.5 coloured piece. And what we're going to do is just layer that here. So we'll just take our tape off as per the cutting picture I had on there before. And just pop that down with your layer. Now I also cut this smaller piece, so we are going to pop that down into the bottom corner, like so. Now this is your 3x4 mat, which I've cut the extra mat just that slight bit bigger, like that. If you don't want to cut, you can just eyeball it and cut it with your scissors. So we will now just attach our photo mat to our second mat. And what that is for, if you just put the white mat, this just makes this pop a bit, so when you put your photograph on there it will actually show up. So we are very gently going to layer this just over into the corner, making sure we sort of have the same border, and just overlap it so you've got a little bit of the green below and the same amount of this either side onto the card. But don't press this piece down because we will be tucking in behind, so stick it firmly on this side. Now for this I've got just one of the flowers here which came off of the sticker sheet, and I've fussy cut it a bit. I have got one of those nice little flower pieces which I've put the ink on, and some words. So I'm going to just pop my flowers down and pop it in behind the card, and underneath that I'm going to pop the little die cut, and glue that down with a bit of glue. Now this came off the sticker sheet as well, so it's already sticky, which is rather nice. So I'm just going to cut my words and unevenly so they're quite jagged. Now, if you have a word here that is just over the photograph, what you can do there is just pop a bit of the tape that you've stuck down, ripped off of your sticky, underneath, so that when you put your photograph in, you can actually stick that down onto your photograph. So there we have another card, very easily completed. Now I'm going to start on the smaller 3x4 cards, and as normal I have my 2 photo mats here, and one of them I have done a 3 card. So what I have done, I've just cut the 3x4s, all 3, then I've taken a 1/8 of an inch off of 2 sides with this, and then 1/4 of an inch off of 2 sides of this one to get my borders working with those. And I've done the same here. I cut a 3x4 photo mat white and just took off an 1/8 of an inch off of 2 sides to give me that tiny border, and I've edged them both in the green. So I will just stick my photo mat down. And there's my first photo mat done. And my second one, you've just got to repeat again of turning that over, putting your photo mat down with that tiny little border. If you don't want that extra card, just put the one underneath. You could even use craft, or even if you don't want to do that, just do a full 3x4 in the white cardstock. So there we have our first photo mat, then we will have eye candy, and then a photo mat and eye candy. Now this is the first, what I class as the eye candy card. Now I've cut the 3x4 in the pink, and now I'm just going to build that up. I am going to stick the ephemera I found, which I quite like the ticket, and just not push it down yet because I haven't put the things underneath. Now I've got one of my daisy die cuts, which this particular one I didn't cut very well, so I'm going to hide this bottom bit underneath the flower. So I'll just put a bit of glue on that. To get it to stick. I'm going to just pop that underneath and hide the bit of that die cut that didn't cut properly. So never ever throw your die cuts that don't work, because you can always use bits of them. Now in the bottom, now looking at this, I'm going to just gently move that up, including where I've glued my flower. Thank goodness that glue moved. And move it up a bit. Now as you can tell, when I've edged this, I really have brought my green ink quite well into the pink, because this particular part of the pink didn't have a lot of markings, and I thought it was a bit plain. So I just edged it more in the green to give it a little bit more colour. Now I've got my flowers here. So I'm just going to pop that and one of those leaves isn't fitting as I want it, so I'll just very gently cut that out. Put the flower where I want it, and then I will reintroduce those little bits of green . And pop them back in. where I want them to go. Now I've also got one of my little die cut pieces, which I'll put some pink on. I'm just going to attach that underneath the flower. And once again, from the sticker sheet, I got some more of the writing in the same pink as we've just done. And I'm going to just pop these on, and it just says laugh every day. So up the top corner, I will just pop that on the top. Unfortunately, Kaiser Craft aren't making paper lines like they used to. They seem to have gone into just doing gifts for the gift shop, and it's such a shame because they were quite a prolific paper company, and they were a very easy to work with paper line with lots of sort of stickers and things that you used to be able to get. So it's an absolute shame. It really is. So there we have our first eye candy card. Now the next one here has your 3x4 once again in the pink, and to match up with this one, I'm just going to very gently kiss those corners with the green ink, so there's just a little bit more. And I've taken the window from the 3x4 card and cut it out. If you don't have one of these windows, you can either use a die cut, or you could use a door if you wanted to use a door, anything like that. Now what I've done, I've cut a smaller piece here, which you will have the dimensions in the picture I showed you before, and that is edged with the green, and we just pop that right down the bottom of the card like that. We are going to put the window up near the top, and just pop it to one side so it's not central, like that. And then what I'm going to do here, I'm just going to put a few little flowers at the bottom like that, and then put my little die cut in like so. So I'll just attach these down. So we'll attach this one first. Just pop it just over the window so you don't see the edge of the window. And I think for this one, I am going to put some foam tape on that to raise it up a little bit. So there goes our foam tape. And I'm going to pop that up there, and then just pop some glue onto this little die cut. And attach him down. So there we have our other card complete. So the whole card system now, you have done the full layout, like so. So now we will go on to our left hand side, and I will give you the Photoshop of each card as I am doing it. Now we're going to start our portrait cards, which will be on the left hand side of my layout. So I've got my base card here in the green, which I have edged. I also have the second piece of the blue that needs cutting. Now this will just go as up the top as my layering piece, just at the top with that tiny border all the way round. Now I have got my normal 3x4 photo mat. The only difference is I have got a 1/8 of an inch full border all the way around that to give the extra green to make that photograph pop. So I'll be just putting my true 3x4 photo mat onto mat that. So it's like a double photo mat, like so. Now then that will go into the middle of the card with the same amount of border all the way around. Once you get used to doing your cutting dimensions, it does become quite easy working out your layering, because I do like straight layering. It's just something I like. Maybe you would like to do layering that's uneven. So now I'm going to just pop my ticket ephemera down like that and just leave a slight border around that. I'll just put some tape on there, get that down. And these are some of the tickets I bought from Etsy, and I paid about $4 or $5 for a full PDF file of all of these ephemera tickets and things, and then I can just print them up as I need them. So it is quite a cost-effective way of getting your tickets. So I'm just going to pop that down like that. Now I've got another one of these die cut daisies. Because I found when I first started scrapbooking, if by having to buy all my little bits and pieces that you use for your scrapbooking, it ends up by being very, very expensive. So if you can actually get the type of thing where you don't have to buy them all the time, because you know a packet of like tickets, if you buy them, cost you quite a bit of money. So if you can just print a few up on your matte photo paper and then sit down and cut them out while you're watching TV, it does sort of help the cost of your scrapbooking. It sort of does keep it down to a reasonable rate. So there we have another card finished. This is our next portrait card at the top, which I've got my base card here with the pink, and I am going to edge that very quickly, just right on the edge. Just edge it on the edge, like so. Now this card here is just slightly smaller once again, so you have that tiny border all the way. And I have brought that green ink further in to give some colour, so that will go down on your sheet next. So we're just going to lay that straight down, and as you can tell, you've got your 1/8 of an inch border all the way around. Now with this one, I've got a half doily, which I'm just going to poke over this side here towards the top. So I'm just going to attach that and put that about 1/3 of the way up, and just attach that down. I then have got that tiny strip of green card, and I want that to come just across like that, just off center. So we are going to attach that to our card. And just pop that down, and if you've got any overhanging, just snip it off. So what I've got here, as the same on the other card that we did, I've got the green for the photo mat here, so that is going onto our, so it's like a second photo mat, and that is a true 3x4, sorry, that is a 3 1/4 by and a 4 1/4, so you can put a true 3x4 photograph on this. And then this is going towards the top like so, but we are going to push this right over into the corner, so you've only got a tiny border and you can just see your doily there. So I'm going to attach that to my card. And then at a slight angle, I'm going to put my other piece of ephemera. Now you could, if you want to, have swapped this around so this photograph was down the bottom, and you could put, which in actual fact, I think I might actually do that. So I'm just going to spin this card around, and then this is actually going to go at the top. So we're doing a reverse of the other card. And then this is going to have raised tape. Which I'm making sure that it can overlap the photograph there. And I can still get my photograph up and underneath. Yep, that's much better. So then our card will have one at the top and one at the bottom. So another card has been completed. This is a typical eye candy card. So I've got my 6x4 here, and I did virtually a mat, which is just smaller than the other card in the craft, to make this stand out. So that goes straight down with an even border all the way around. And this piece was the one that I explained when I had my little mug mat here, when it says first cut, so that you actually know to cut that window first, the same as this is your first cut here with this sheet here, so you don't cut into what you actually need for your layout. So that goes straight down onto this card, right smack bang in the middle of this. Then all I did was, from the cutout sheet, I cut myself a rose, which I have mounted onto mounting tape. And then I'm going to sort of just lay that down so it looks nice. Now, I'm going to cut one of these buds off because I would prefer the bud to be over this side. So I'm just going to attach that with a bit of glue. And I have a couple of leaves which I cut from the cutout sheet because I wanted a couple of leaves to be tucked in where the rose is. Once again, to give a bit more definition. No, I don't like that there. Like that. We are going to put the family, and I'm going to snip that off quite close. I'm going to put that onto some dimensional tape. I'll just pop that up into the top corner. And I have one of my little die cut there's glue gone everywhere with this. Just get some of that off. There is a time when there's too much glue. And with this, I'm going to just pop up and underneath and stick that down. And I think I might even cut that little buddy off. Stick a tiny bit of glue onto that and stick that down. So there we have a really, really easy, because of the way that that paper was done, to make a card out of that. This card is, because I didn't have many photographs to put into this layer, I've done an extra eye candy card. But if you wanted to change this into a photo card, what you could actually do is just put a white photo mat just here and decorate this bottom piece and have your photograph over the top of this. But you wanted an eye candy card. So we have got the base card here, and then we have got our next matting card to the dimensions, which gives you your tiny border all the way around. Then we have our next card, which was on the mug sheet, was this cut that you did here. That's why I said that was a first cut, because you needed that sheet So when we were using the backs and things, it's always good to know which part not to cut, because you might need it. So that gets stuck straight down. Now on the bottom, I have got here a little tiny rose, which I'm going to pop down in the bottom corner to give some dimension. And I'm going to put this here, and I have got a couple of some of that ephemera again, so I'm going to slant one down and just pop it underneath. I've got another one here, which I will make it uneven, so then I can actually now put my flower down. And pop my little feather piece in and just glue that down. I really am having a love-hate relationship with this glue tonight. So I will just stick that down. Now I also had a little bud I wanted I'm just going to pop that over the tickets there to match up with these two. So there we have a little bit of an eye candy card. So now we'll go on to the last of our 3x4 cards, and then that will be our layout complete. So our 3x4s, so we have as normal our 2 photo mat cards, which I have just used the door frame, and then I've cut off my 3x4. I've done an 1/8 of an inch off of both sides, so that just gives like that. Then I have got my next card, which has 3 mats. So we have our 3x4 in the pink, and then I've cut just a tiny little bit off of the other 3x4 card to give you a tiny little pink border. And then of course I've cut the extra off of this 3x4, so it is now 3 3/4, so it's like 1/4 of an inch off, to give you that little bit, so it's a double mat. So there, very quickly, are our 2 photo cards. Now with this one, the eye candy card, I have got my 3x4 base card, I have got my doily, I have the piece of card that is the doors, which I'm going to just pop straight up the top there. So I'm just going to attach at the top with a tiny little bit of a border. I will then stick my doily down, which is the other half of the doily that I used from the other card. So we're just going to stick that doily down. Now I've got the pink card here, which I want to now layer it with just that tiny little bit of border all the way around. Like so. And then once again I have got one of these tickets here, and I'm just going to put a couple of the roses on there like that. So once you've got it sort of looking how you would like it to be, just stick your ephemera down. And then I'm going to put that one, I'll raise, put that one underneath. So I'm just going to attach that with a bit of glue. I'm going to put a bit of the mounting tape on this other rose. I didn't like it with one rose, it needed an extra. So I'll just attach the double-sided tape to this rose. Now I think that petal looks a bit too big, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to trim that down a little bit so it doesn't stick out as much. So I'm just going to snip that bottom piece off. So there we have our next little card finished. On to our next one, which has got the blue floral base, which is from number 2. And then I've cut a cardstock one with just the border all around. So that goes on next. Then I have another one from page 4. I'm using the creamy side, and then that goes on so that we have like a 3-layered mat. I then have popped a little bit of the blue right over the edge here. And onto that, right in the middle, I have put my window, and I wanted that sort of slightly over, and I've just popped, I was running out of flowers at this stage. A little bit of floral there, and then I'm going to do beyond words like that. So I know what it's sort of going to look like now, so we will just stick this floral down. Sort of tuck it over. Stick my window down over the top, and just line up one of the lines with your line up, because it's just a little bit nicer to the eye. And then we are going to put our words on. Like that. If I had enough flowers, I probably would have put a little flower cluster here, but unfortunately I have really oh, there we go. I might be able to cut a little. I really haven't got that much paper left, so I'll make do. That might be a bit too big. Maybe if I cut a little bit of the greenery. Just to finish that off. It's just the type of thing that you have to do when you are really running low on paper. Is you just have to sort of improvise. And I might also add just a green leaf into this one. But it is quite satisfying when you've gone into your stash and you've actually just got little bits of paper. Now, what I would do with this, I would, if I wanted to cut some of these flowers out and just put that into my stash of things, because you never ever know, you might want to make a card or something one day and you need a pink rose or something, so I wouldn't waste that. I would cut that out. So there we have our little load of 3x4 cards finished. And this is what your layout will look like once you actually have it finished. with all your photographs and things. And as I said, I didn't have many photographs, so I had to put the extra eye candy in just to stretch it out. There we are. I've put all my photographs that are required onto my photo mats to show you what the layout will look like with photographs included. I do hope you enjoyed following this process video with me, and please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and also do the bell so that you will get notifications when I have new videos up. Now the next video I will be doing will be slightly different to this one, because I am going to, I'll just remove the camera to show you. I will be doing some cards and also a beautiful card folder that opens up, that you can actually put your cards into the little pockets with your envelopes that you can actually give as a gift. And this folds down and actually attaches with a magnet. So that will be the next process video that I will be doing, which will be a little bit something different. So until next time, keep crafting. Bye.